This week in sports. It's week 13 in the NFL, and fans were once again reminded why everyone loves football. The Steelers lost on Monday night. Big Ben threw for over 300 yards and 2 scores, but it wasn't enough to overcome 36-year-old Alex Smith and the Washington football team. The Steelers are now 11-1. A week after firing general manager Bob Quinn and head coach Matt Patricia, the Detroit Lions beat the Chicago Bears 34-30. Matthew Stafford threw for 402 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick in the win. Speaking of getting fired, hours after a questionable play call versus the Raiders, the Jets fired defensive coordinator Greg Williams. The criminally hyped Raiders barely eked out a win over the winless New York Jets 31-28. In a showdown between two 8-3 teams, the Tennessee Titans traveled to First Energy Stadium with beating the Cleveland Browns on their mind. However, they walked away sore losers. Baker Mayfield lit up the Tennessee Titans by throwing for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 28 points alone in the second quarter before beating the Titans 41-35. The New England Patriots traveled to LA to face the Chargers and won in vintage Patriots fashion. In a game where Cam Newton and Jared Stidham combined for only 138 passing yards, each quarterback threw a touchdown. Cam Newton rushed for 2 more touchdowns, and the New England special teams collected 2 scores as well. The Patriots completely destroyed the Chargers 45-0. Despite a losing record of 4-7 and having to start their backup quarterback, the NFC East division leading New York Giants beat the Seattle Seahawks 17-12. New York Giants quarterback Colt McCoy only completed 13 of his 22 passes, but it was enough to collect the win and improve to 5-7. Elsewhere in sports, the NBA announced that it would not be testing its players for marijuana during the 2021 season. James Harden told the Rockets that he would accept a trade to Philadelphia or another championship contending team. 4 NHL teams announced that they had explored the possibility of hosting regular season home games outside in order to comply with safety restrictions related to COVID-19. This is part of the NHL's bigger goal to get their season started in January. And finally, a week after Jake Paul took Nate Robinson to task, Paul's older brother and millennial sensation Logan Paul announced that he will face off against Floyd Mayweather in a boxing super exhibition in February. This is the Under 500 podcast.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Under 500 podcast. I am Tyler. I am joined by my other 2 hosts, friends, whatever you call them. Eric, how you doing tonight, buddy?
What up, guys? I'm doing great. How are you, Tyler?
I'm doing good. Aaron, how are you?
I am doing fantastic this evening. It is great to see your lovely faces as always. And before we get into it, we have a guest visiting with us today, a Brandon Bonville. Brandon, say hi to the people.
What's up, everybody? I'm happy to be here.
Aaron brought a friend.
I did. Brandon is well, granted, Brandon, I think I've met you twice in person. That's about it so far. But we are best friends. Brandon, for those of you who are listening, he is really you're the second in command at Grace Church in Bridgewater. You're like the Darth Vader over there in Bridgewater.
I've never thought of myself as Darth Vader, but yeah, that's pretty spot on.
What a comparison for a church staff member.
Good intro here. I am Darth Vader.
Good call.
But Brandon's a good dude, and from meeting with him, he loves talking sports. He knows a lot of sports, and so I'm excited to have him join here. He also has a podcast of his own. If you build it, they might come. Quite an interesting name. It's very intriguing. So, Brandon, what is this podcast?
Yeah, so I work in ministry, and I specifically work with students in ministry. And a big reality that I live with every week is, even though I might build something, it doesn't mean people are going to show up to it.
Preach.
And so, so this podcast, for me, it's all about just talking with some experts on ministry, student ministry, and reminding other student pastors out there and just people in general that they're not alone and trying to encourage them and remind them that like we can do this and we can make it through it, and it's going to be a journey and it's going to take some time, but we can do it together. So yeah, I'm loving it. We've only done 2 episodes, but they've been a blast so far.
Nice.
That's awesome.
There you go,
That's good to
people.
hear.
So if you build it, they might come. And Brandon, where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, you can check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and we're on SoundCloud too. So the heavy hitters, I guess.
Yeah, he's on the official ones, guys. That's how you know it's legit.
The big 3.
So go get some knowledge from our boy Brandon. Hit up his podcast, give him some subscriptions, show him some love. And with that, Brandon, we have to ask this to all of our guests who come on: is when we launched our show here, we kicked it off with our Mount Rushmores of sports. All right, so we have to ask you, Brandon, what is your sports Mount Rushmore? Who are they?
All right, so I was thinking about this, and I feel like my true New England colors are about to come out a little bit.
Oh
That's
no!
okay.
Bring it.
Okay,
Yeah.
If you've heard
Hold
mine,
Hold
you're good.
on. Okay, I am a homegrown New Englander, but I'm not biased. Okay,
Oh, well, we'll
So,
see. by your
That's
picks.
still
I
yet to
am.
be seen.
so I'm gonna start off with one that might throw you guys for a loop. Okay, I'm a
Okay.
huge soccer fan, and I would put in my Mount Rushmore Lionel Messi from Barcelona.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like that.
Throw it
No
Now,
idea who he
today-
is. Please
You
explain.
know who Messi is?
Today,
Yeah,
What?
totally ignorant to that
he
sport.
is the best soccer player to ever walk the face of the earth, in my humble opinion.
Compared. So, what do you think of Cristiano?
I
That's
think
the name I know.
Cristiano is phenomenal, and today they
So
actually
you
played
take Lionel.
each
You take. Oh, who won?
other. Cristiano beat him 3-0.
Oh, I don't know, man. For me, they're like, I don't know if I can give the edge to either.
So I
one.
only give the edge to Messi solely because of his assists and his team play. I think Messi or Ronaldo is a better talent, but Messi is a better team player, which gives him like just a little bit on that for me. So he's my first Mount Rushmore.
So do you take like team play in general, or like being able to be a good team player and not just talent and stats over, like is team play more of a thing for you?
I love it. I think that makes you a better overall player. So I think it's important. Like as I was thinking about my Mount Rushmore, like you got to have a little bit of that team play for me to put you like if you can coerce. James Harden will never be on my Mount Rushmore because he can't play with the team.
Ooh,
Lionel Messi can bring a team together and
Good
have
take.
assists
Okay.
and make passes.
I like that.
So
I like it. I know nothing about soccer, but you just
Same.
painted it in a great picture for me.
there you go. Watch it. It's amazing. So Lionel Messi won. Second, I would put Larry Bird on my Mount Rushmore.
That's
Larry
what I'm talking
legend.
about. I was actually
Today's his birthday, by the way.
yeah, and they put up a bunch of
64.
they put up a bunch of really good stats about him and
I
his
saw that.
past, and that dude is unmatched in some of the categories that he's outperformed everybody else
Unmatched.
in some of the categories. Did you not hear the rest of my statement?
In what categories?
There was, I don't know. Now you're making me think.
Playing a game left-handed.
Okay,
Yeah, that was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, he played a whole game
Yes,
left-handed.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's
And just the
pretty
things,
impressive.
that he would say to like the staff members at the Boston Garden. Like what did he tell? He said something to the mop boy.
He said, go find like the scoring record in this stadium or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. He was just
every stadium. What's the scoring record here?
yeah.
Bleacher Report put out a bunch of stuff.
That's what I was
today.
talking about. Unmatched in some of the things that he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not unmatched as
I'll
a
take
basketball
that.
player.
I'll take that. I take that, Tyler. You're good.
He also, in my mind, kind of changed the way we looked at basketball players. I mean, he was not an athletic dude. He was he's
He wasn't.
6'8" and could shoot the lights out anywhere he went and was just smarter than everybody.
He also had a
His IQ
fabulous
is
mullet.
Crazy.
A fabulous mullet and mustache.
Fabulous. And the
combination.
mustache, it was great. Yeah.
And
totally.
80s basketball, just drinking beer on the sidelines.
Short shorts.
Mhm.
Nobody's physically in any condition to play,
No.
but they did it.
They did.
So yes, Larry Bird. 3, I'm gonna go Tom Brady. Guys,
He's on all our lists.
It's
All our
it's
lists.
to go. I don't even have to. I don't even have to explain this one.
True.
But Tom Brady, and then lastly, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he was on mine
he's
too.
just
Yeah.
he's just never been touched in my mind. LeBron's getting closer, but he's still not there.
Okay, so
And
developing take with Mount Rushmores. Are you a baseball person?
I love the Red Sox, and I was thinking, like, do I have a Red Sox player on there? And I just couldn't over these four. I couldn't put anybody
That's fair.
that gets me excited enough that I'm like, yeah, you're on my Mount Rushmore.
Sure.
So
That's
my
fair.
developing take is that if you're a baseball person, like if we were to ask our friend Nathan, who's baseball first, they're always going to put a baseball guy. If you're not really into
Mhm.
baseball, you're more likely to put 2 football or 2 basketball,
Sure.
which is fair. I mean,
Yeah.
like Michael Jordan, I'm not going to argue that, and I can't really argue Larry Bird either.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a good
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore.
That's
Oh,
pretty good.
thank
I
you.
like the
You had-
soccer edition.
Yeah, that was a
Changes
good
it up.
one.
You know, you had 2 people that nobody's brought up yet, which I think flips the switch a little bit. I like it.
Oh, good.
Had some good depth. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was good.
All right,
All
well,
right.
let's get on to the NFL, guys.
Yeah.
Right. So we asked for some email input into the show, or friends of the show to send us some questions or topics they want talked about. So we got this really great list from one of our listeners, and we're probably going to use a couple of his questions over the next couple of weeks because I really like them. But I want to tee up somebody on the show today with this one. So here's our email topic of the week, courtesy of now Aaron. Owen, is it Hebda? Is that how you say his last name?
Yep.
Hebda. Okay.
My boy Owen.
He says, or he asks, do the Patriots have a playoff push in them? Playoff. Let me try that again. Do the Patriots have a playoff push in them? What do we think over the past couple of weeks? Do we think the Patriots have a playoff push in them?
Like,
I think they can make a push, but it's not going to get them in. They have to win out.
yeah.
They literally have to win out.
It's tough to say. Like, does the team have it from the way they've looked the past 2 weeks? I think yes. But the cards and the dice aren't falling the way that they need to for the Patriots to get even like in a spot. Like the road to the playoffs for the Patriots is hard. It doesn't look good.
Oh, it's incredibly difficult.
You know,
right
and
now.
that's what happens when you have a team that hasn't figured it out until week 10, 11. So
yeah.
I also think the next 3 games are just tough. They're tough games. We got the Rams this Thursday.
Oh, that
Short
sucks.
week.
Yeah, it's short week. We play the Dolphins, and then it's the Bills, and I mean, luckily we end with the Jets, but
those 2
it's a
games,
tough
still-
the
stretch.
Dolphins and the Bills are probably the most important games
yeah,
that they're going to
But
play all year.
All the games are important now.
At
Yeah.
at
They
this
have to
point,
win
yeah.
everything.
I mean, I don't know if the on a short
If-
week with the Rams, I don't know.
If they miss
Rams
the playoffs
defense
this
is too
year,
good.
yeah, they are good.
Well, right
If
now.
they-
Oh, sorry, Eric. You can go, Eric.
If they miss the playoffs this year, who do you put the biggest blame on, and where? Like, do you say they just couldn't get going early in the season? They lost like one of those, like the Denver game, or what was the other tomato can they lost to? Oh, Houston. They lost to Houston.
I don't
Like,
put
do
it
you
on
put the
any
blame
of
on
that.
them not, or do you
Nope.
put it on Bill not having the team prepared?
I 100% put it on Cam Newton.
100%.
100% because he fumbles the ball against Buffalo. We could have won that game. He
Oh,
doesn't.
good
He
point.
doesn't. He doesn't get in the end zone against Seattle. That's 2 more wins we have.
We're
In-
8-6.
Exactly.
You could
we're,
also
we're 8
argue-
and 6 right now. Go
You
ahead.
could
Aaron.
also
I,
argue.
uh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aaron.
So
We're
I am with you.
8-4.
I'm not a Cam Newton fan. I don't think he has been good this year at all, even on this win streak. But I think this is what Eric was getting at, who brought him in and who failed to develop a quarterback up to that point
That's
and
a good point,
failed
too.
to bring in talent to surround him with.
No, that's a
It's
great
management, the GM, who happens to be Bill Belichick
Yeah.
and is the coach.
Hey, did you guys see the guy he
I don't
got at the trade deadline? Yeah, you might have missed him because he's already signing back with the practice squad of the team he got traded from or picked up from,
point. The guy from the Dolphins.
the Dolphins. Yeah, he's signing back with the
Yeah.
practice squad of the Dolphins. How'd that work out?
Not good.
Yeah, dude, not good. That's why for me,
But the only way-
it's on Bill.
It makes me.
I will say
think
this much
that they have
to-
something cooking up.
I will say this much to Tyler's point and to Brandon's point. So you're right against the Bills, and you're also right. He got COVID, and whether that's really his fault or not, I'm not getting into that. But like, you could go either way, or like it's just kind of the world we live in. But if there was better quarterback play versus Kansas City, we could have won that one too.
Sure.
So, like, there's a part of me that goes, they didn't really like what they had in Stidham, so they picked up Cam late, and that was like we need to pick somebody up that can, we can kind of get into the playbook and maybe plug and play. Cam Newton, obviously is an MVP, Heisman Trophy winner, so
Right.
how could that guy not get into the system with a successful head coach who knows how to coach the best out of somebody, and just not be anything like we thought? I mean, I thought he'd be at least serviceable. He threw for 69 yards last week and 84 the week, or 88 the week
88 the
before.
week before.
And something I've been thinking about is, like, we always talk about passing yards. And I kind of wanted to bring up a question. Can a defense in a run game win games, or even win in the playoffs, win the Super Bowl? Because good. Brandon, I see you cooking.
I don't know about anymore. Go, Brandon.
I don't know. I don't know about win a Super Bowl, but win games. I mean, that's literally how we've been winning games. Is we're gonna smash the ball, run, and our defense and special teams, we're just gonna be better than you, and that's how we won the game. I mean, that's how we annihilated the Chargers. Is we just said our defense and our special teams is gonna be better than you, and we're gonna play smash mouth football, which the Patriots haven't played since like Corey Dillon. I mean, Corey Dillon was like the last dude. LeGarrette Blount a little bit, played a little bit.
What about in 2018 with that I formation? And Devin, is it James Devlin?
The fullback, right?
Yeah.
A
Because
little
Sony
bit.
Michel can't run without somebody in front of him.
Well,
so.
I would say though that even 2018, they still could go to a passing attack that could get you 300 yards. Like the run game was like, okay, it's working, we'll go with it during this game. But like this team now, we only have a run game. So that's all we're gonna do.
One-dimensional football.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the standings now, and in the AFC, the Bills, Chiefs, Steelers, and Titans lead their division. This year, there's 3 wild teams cards and slots that are open, and right now the Browns are 9-3, the Colts are 8-4, and the Dolphins are 8-4. Those would be the 3 wild card teams, and the Patriots are 6-6. So that's tough with just 4 weeks left to make up that ground. That's very.
Do any
hard.
of those teams face each other? I guess. I mean, we don't have to get too crazy.
I'm not gonna check that out.
but really, that's the only way you can do it, right? Is if one team faces each other and then it knocks them down, and then that team might face another bubble team, and basically you have to twist yourself into a literal pretzel to figure out if they can get in.
Right.
So
I mean, they do play the Patriots do play the Dolphins, and so that the Dolphins are in one of those wild card spots. So win against them helps them out double, in that case. But yeah,
and
I don't know. I don't see it happening.
And the Bills. If we beat the Dolphins and the Bills, we move to 8-6, and they both could potentially be 8-6 at that point. So, I mean, that's kind of like we need that, but we also we have to beat the Rams first. We have to beat the Rams first.
We lose to the Rams, it's pretty much over. Yeah, but I will say, yesterday's game I give Bill Belichick a lot of kudos for that, because they won because they were just a better coach team, and you saw it in all 3 phases of the game. So I will give Bill kudos for that, because Cam, like you said, threw for 61 or 64 yards or something like that, but they were able to pound the rock. They played great defense, great special teams. So I give them kudos. But you need to be a playoff team. You need to have an offense and have a quarterback who can move the ball. And they don't have that. They have to rely on all those other aspects. And to be a winning team, you can't have that. You need an offense. Mm-hmm. So it's a good for this one game, but it actually gave me less hope for them for the rest of the season.
Well, and I feel like we're not asking much out of Cam. I'm not expecting Cam to give me 403 every game.
Right.
I just give me 200 and 1 touchdown with no picks. That's all I need. I don't even care if you throw for 150 yards and you run it for 50 yards. Just give me any sense or show me something that tells me that you are just not a shell of what you could be and what you used to be, which, I mean, with his injuries, like, you just don't know, I guess. Like, he's really looked ever since he had that COVID, he's just looked different. And so I don't know what's going on, but I just need something from him. Just give me something to believe in, Cam Newton,
Seriously.
on and hopefully Thursdays at night where he's like, all right, big game, I'm gonna step up and be MVP Cam again.
Yeah, we need that to have a chance, but he has not. I think he's had, even besides these past 2 weeks, he's had a couple other games under 100 yards. It's like I've never seen this in modern football. Like, I don't know. That's great. That's my thoughts on the Pats this year. So I know we have another guy here we want to talk about. Eric's been licking at the chops.
I don't know if I've been licking at the chops as much as like this is just like a something we talked about, and so we talk about teams that are, um, are they legit or are they not, or we talked about the AFC, and I got duped into thinking that the Raiders were legit, and it cost me a game, but they made up for it this past week, and thanks to Derek Carr and Waller, I got into the playoffs in fantasy, so that's cool. But like they almost lost to the Jets, and they beat the Jets because the Jets made like one of the most questionable play calls
man.
in
I
like,
don't know how
like,
that
all time.
It's fantastic.
that was insane.
It was the most Jets thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're gonna blitz all of our defenders and leave one guy on one of the fastest men in the NFL. Yeah, good luck on that.
What are you doing? Oh wait, you're the Jets.
Yeah, it's bad when the Jets immediately are like, we're firing this guy. Because they like that's how bad it was. They're like, this is the worst thing we've seen.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest joys of living in Jets territory out here is you can ask them questions like, what was that about? And they just go, yeah, I don't know what to say. It was great living in Dallas Cowboy land too, because some things would happen that were similar to that. And you'd be like, what was that? Well, Jerry Jones, he just,
it's just accepted in their culture.
You just don't get that as like a New England fan because you're so into it and you just have a head coach that's so consistent. But that all led to this is in the NFC, are the Packers legit this year?
I think they are. And you guys know I think they are after our conversation yesterday.
But aren't they legit every year in the regular season?
Yes.
I wouldn't say every year because they've had. Did they make the play? They did make the playoffs last year, but 2 years ago I don't think they did. So I wouldn't.
But aren't they like?
Year.
But you don't just go to Lambeau Field and think, oh well, I'm just facing Aaron Rodgers. There's a win. Like you don't check that one off the win in the win column every year, right? So the Packers, I just think the Packers are legit every year in the regular season, or at least they're a team that you never count out. Like if I see the Packers on the Patriots schedule, whether the Packers end up 6-9 or 14-2, I go, oh boy, we got to face Aaron Rodgers because he's legit and rightly so. But I don't know, like, have they by and large underachieved in the postseason under Aaron Rodgers? And my answer is a resounding yes. They have absolutely underperformed. And so we kind of talked about this. So Aaron, you don't think they've underperformed, which is just boggles my mind. Tell me why. Like I don't understand.
So the last 3 years that they've been in the playoffs, they have a 4-3 record in the playoffs. So that's a winning record in the playoffs. How can you say that? And he's gone to 3 NFC Championship games and has won a Super Bowl.
Okay, so
I don't. How is that all underperforming?
Aaron, he came into the league in 2008. Ready? 6-10, missed the playoffs. 11-5, lost in the wild card. 10-6, won the Super Bowl. Okay, pretty good. 15-1, lost in the divisional round. 11 how do you go 15-1 and lose in the divisional round? Come on, man.
This happened to several other teams. Okay,
like who? Go ahead, name it. What other team? I'm waiting.
Didn't it happen to the Colts when they had the best record in the AFC?
Was that with Peyton Manning?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it happened in Peyton.
Oh, okay.
Peyton
so
Manning.
The other con
but that's
artist
also
choking in the playoffs.
Oh my goodness.
that is Peyton Manning at his finest.
Oh, we're gonna have an amazing regular season.
2 Super Bowl wins in his career, and he's a choke artist. Okay,
so let's keep going. So what I say, 15-1, lost division. 11-5, lost division. 8-7-1, weird, lost wild card. 12-4, lost conference. 10-6, lost division. 10-6, lost conference in the conference finals. 7-9, 6-9-1, missed the playoffs completely. And then last year, 13-3, lost conference. So he's been in 12 years, and he's lost in the wild card twice, lost in the division round twice, lost in the conference twice. I'm sorry, lost in the division 3 times and missed the playoffs 4 times. And you this is Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's the guy that people like unzip their pants and talk about week in and week out. He's and rightly so. Like, he's an 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time league MVP. He's amazing at throwing the ball. He wills his team to wins. He throws people people open. He's not afraid to tuck it and run. He's just fun to watch, and yet he's 1-2 in conference finals. He's wretched in conference finals, actually. I found this article from Forbes. You know that Rodgers has played in 3 NFC conference games and has a pedestrian quarterback rating of 70.5, where he's completed 57.8% of his 109 passes and thrown for more interceptions than touchdowns. You don't think that guy's underperformed in the postseason?
I think in those games he has, but to say he's an underperformer overall, you can't pull that card.
I didn't say that. I said he'd underperform in the postseason.
I think in those games, yes.
Well, that's in the
NFC
postseason.
Championship games,
But it's the
in those
postseason.
games that he lost.
So do you believe that teams can
Well,
underperform and overperform?
But listen to this. You say in that championship game he underperformed. To get to the championship game, you have to win 1 or 2 games to get there, in which he played very, very well. And then he goes to the NFC Championship game, doesn't. So you can't say, oh, he underperformed in that one game of the postseason, so that means he underperformed for the whole thing. Well, no. What if he, like the game before, he balled out? That's a great performance.
But it's Aaron Rodgers. He's a 2-time MVP, 8-time Pro Bowler, and he gets to the biggest games and he chokes. Like, the higher the stakes, the worse he gets.
Yeah, but the fact that they got to the NFC Championship is an accomplishment in and of itself.
But did he overachieve or did he underachieve?
Well, it depends when they went into those games, those NFC Conference Championship games, who were they playing against?
The first one they won. I think they won against Dallas. Yeah, I think they beat Dallas. Then they lost to Seattle. I'll give you the Seattle one. That was a
Seattle
crazy
that
game.
year.
Yeah,
and Seattle was the favorite for that. They were the better team all year.
I'll give you that one. And Aaron Rodgers had a hurt calf. If you remember that game, they played in Seattle too when they actually had fans.
And that was the Legion of Boom defense. Like Seattle, that was their year.
And then they lost to Atlanta. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers should be better than Atlanta. I don't care
how
good they were that year.
Okay, that was the year they set the record for the best offense ever.
And they proved to be the biggest choking artist in NFL history 2 weeks later. So
okay, but if you have a team going up against the best scoring offense in NFL history, I wouldn't say that losing to them is underachieving, because you have to think, okay, what were the expectations of both teams going in there? Atlanta was picked to win that game. They were the favorite in that game. So is the Packers losing to them underachieving? Or is it, no, Atlanta was just a really good team?
I think what Aaron Rodgers does best with is when he plays a mediocre team. When Aaron Rodgers can play with comfort and has weapons and has a good offensive line and plays the Detroit Lions on a Thursday night or a Sunday night football game, Aaron Rodgers will throw for 4 touchdowns and look like the best football players ever touched planet Earth. But when he plays a team that has a little bit of cojones,
discipline,
behind them, a little bit of discipline, just like the Bucks this year, he absolutely melts down and is not Aaron Rodgers. They have one big win this year. They played the Saints and they beat the Saints. That's their one big win. Other than that, they don't have an impressive win this year. I don't care what their record is. I don't see an impressive win.
Yeah. What do your eyes tell you?
Yeah.
I don't know. When I've seen them play, I've liked what I've seen them scoring touchdowns. Like Aaron Rodgers has 36 touchdowns this year, and he's been balling out.
Okay, but overall, Aaron, do you believe that there are teams that can overachieve, have a successful regular season, and then overachieve in the playoffs or underachieve in the playoffs? That's kind of where this whole thing comes from, right? Like, can a team that's successful in the regular season overachieve or underachieve in the postseason?
Well, I think we saw that with the Titans last year.
So they overachieved.
They snuck into the playoffs, and then they ended up winning 2 games.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that overall Aaron Rodgers in the postseason, because he either misses it or he loses in the division or wild card more times than not? Wouldn't that be fair to say that Aaron Rodgers, the guy that we all love to watch throw the football, who is in the conversation perpetually for being the GOAT, has underachieved in the playoffs?
can you put all of that on? You've had freaking Mike McCarthy as his coach, who's garbage. Several of those years, they've had terrible defenses as well. Their defense has been horrible in those years. It's like I can't put that all on Aaron and say that, oh, it was just him. He was the reason that they lost. McCarthy made horrible. I mean, we've seen that all the time, like the decisions that he makes. We're seeing it in freaking Dallas this year. It's terrible. And their defense was like porous all those years. It was literally like he needed to throw a 158.3 quarterback rating game for them to have a chance against some of those teams. So I mean, obviously, yes, there is some. You can't put none of the blame on Rodgers, but I can't put all of it on him. You got to put some of that on McCarthy because of his dumb decision. There were games where he just was like, "Oh yeah, we're just not going to run the ball, no run game, and just pass every single down." And it's like,
Okay,
dude, you can't control a game that way.
I'll give you the defensive stuff on Mike McCarthy. It's been widely reported that when plays were called into Aaron Rodgers' helmet by Mike McCarthy, he ignored them and did his own thing, which is why there was a complete breakdown between the two. So,
Oh, they hated each other.
so if Mike McCarthy says, "Hey, the running the ball's been successful, you need to run the ball," and Aaron Rodgers goes, "I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to chuck it up," and they lose the game as a result. Do you put that on Mike McCarthy? He's calling the right games.
I put that on. You have to put that on Rodgers if that's what happened. If he changed it up, I'll give you that. If we know that's what like that certain circumstance happened.
Tyler, what do you got?
Well, so when I was thinking about this, and since we've been talking about it, I have been thinking not so much Aaron Rodgers specifically, but more of just the Packers. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is the center of that team. Whenever I see an argument like this, I really try and see it from the person's perspective. And, Aaron's perspective might be, and this might not be spot on or even true, but the perspective of getting better and doing well on paper is achieving. It's achieving your goal. And building this. You're a personal trainer. Building strength and doing better is a goal, and that's something that you achieve. But if you ask the average Packers fan, would you think that their response to, "Are you happy with the team the past 12 years?" or 12 years, would they be happy with how they've performed?
I don't know. Would they? I'm not a Packers fan.
Put it in your own shoes. If the Patriots had gone, if Tom Brady came in 2001, like he did, and they won one Super Bowl and sorry, I won't say underperformed, but went to a Super Bowl or two and won a couple of division rounds and had these very average statistics in the playoffs, would you be happy with that?
Would I be happy with a Super Bowl win, another Super Bowl appearance, and playoff appearances? Yeah, you know how many franchises would kill for that? Absolutely.
But look at the talent that you have. Look at the talent.
What you got
for the Packers?
Or any team. If you have this incredible talent that people are saying this is another one of the, top number 2 in the GOAT spot, or even number 1, and they've only won one Super Bowl. And how many have they been to? Just that one? The Packers?
The Packers?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Rodgers, just that one.
Just that one. They've only been to one Super Bowl. Would you be happy with that? I wouldn't be happy with that.
Yeah, but you asked.
With the amount of talent that has been on the Packers team, I personally I wouldn't be happy with that. If I was a Green Bay fan, I'd be like, what are you guys doing?
I don't know. I think if you ask a lot of other teams and gave them that situation, they would be ecstatic to know, oh, we won a Super Bowl and showed up in another one and went to the playoffs. I don't know. I think that a lot of teams would kill for that. Brandon, what do you think about this?
I think if you ask the Browns, they'd be pumped for anything.
True.
But I think, I don't know. I agree with Tyler. Like, with that level of talent, if you say that your quarterback, I mean, people say that he's better than Tom Brady all the time. Like, he is better than Tom Brady. If you're saying that and you have the level of talent like a Devontae Adams on your team, you have to go further. You have to be able to do more.
All right,
I
last
think
year
if-
Devontae Adams was hurt for most of the season. He's healthy
Okay.
this year.
Sure, he's healthy this year, and so that's why I think this year, prove us wrong, prove
Mhm.
us that you don't
That's fair.
underperform.
That's fair.
And I think for Aaron Rodgers, like he's had a lot of great pieces over the years. If Aaron Rodgers has 2 Super Bowls right now, I don't even know if we're debating this.
Yeah.
He's got 1 and a defeat in the Super Bowl, and
I don't even think he only has been to one, right?
he's only been to 1. He's
Yeah.
only
Right,
been to
yeah.
1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think for that level of talent, and I know Mike McCarthy was a bum, but he's had talent around him, and he's had good defenses, and he's had a division that's been pretty dysfunctional. So, I mean, I know
Yeah.
people knock the Patriots all the time. Well, just look at your division. Okay, well, let's look at the Packers division too. They've had some pretty dysfunctional years there with some other teams. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely situational. So like to what Brandon's saying, like the talent around they so like we talk about the Titans, we talk about the Browns. Like if Baker Mayfield wins the Browns a Super Bowl, I say give him the championship ring and the Hall of Fame ring all at once because you just did something incredible. Like one
Sure.
of the loser franchises in sports. No offense to any Browns fans out. They just are. Like they're the joke. They were one of the last laughing stocks of like sports. If they won, that'd be huge. I think the same thing with the Titans. Like they've gotten to one. They lost. If I remember correctly, they lost on like a crazy thing, right, or something weird
1
happened.
yard short. 1 yard
That's
short.
it.
and the
end
1
zone.
yard line. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it, but if the Titans are building to something, and even I feel that way about the Colts. Like they have a good defense. I don't know if Philip Rivers is their permanent fix, but they're building to something, right? So they have like a window they're trying to get to, and so if they win it all this year, it's overachieving. But if they get deep into the playoffs and they kind of lose, or they even make it in the playoffs, then that's they probably achieved what their goal was for this year. For Aaron Rodgers, they constantly put talent around him in what Brandon said, a relatively dysfunctional division. That guy should be conference finals year in and year out. Like the way that Peyton Manning was, or really not so much Peyton, but definitely Tom Brady, definitely Ben Roethlisberger in the AFC, should be Aaron Rodgers in the NFC year in and year out. It should be these Rodgers versus Seattle Seahawks, Rodgers versus whoever the team is that year, but it hasn't been, and it should be. And so my feeling is you have Aaron Rodgers and a ton of talent around him every year. He has had good defenses here and there, but he's only been to 3 NFC championships, and he's won 2
Only
of them.
3.
All right, ready? Here it is.
Only 3.
We have the up and coming team, right? The probably next franchise.
Oh my goodness.
If the Chiefs, they won last year, if they lose the championship game, if they go the next 12 years going to the divisional round, getting into the playoffs every year, and then losing the championship game, losing divisional rounds, not going to another Super Bowl, are they underachieving?
Heck yes.
If they keep the
100%.
same is the roster the same?
Yes. Well, not the same. Same
Relatively
quarterback.
the same.
Relatively the same quarterback.
So
100%.
it depends on the weapons that he has. Like if he say theoretically had Hill, Kelsey, and those guys for 12 years, free agency, that's not going to happen. But say theoretically, if they had that and at least had an average defense, because I think if you have a bad defense, you won't make it. But at least an average defense, then yes. If all those stay constant, then they would be. I think that would be like the perfect control, though.
All right.
Because you can't, if you have
It
a
is a
great
good point.
offensive quarterback, you can't overcome a defense that gives up 30 plus
No,
points a game.
that's a really good point. That might not
right.
might not have been the best example, but the
Well, I
point
think we
still
should-
stays the same.
I think we're going to keep talking in circles on this. Let's keep moving because the Browns are 9-3.
Ooh,
And I don't know
those
what
Browns.
to talk about with that because I don't know what to do.
The rapture is nigh.
It's
My
2020.
goodness.
All sorts of crazy things are happening. Tom Brady is playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Browns are 9-3.
It
It's
blows
unreal.
my mind.
How are they doing this, guys?
Well, they're top.
How is this happening?
They're the top rushing team in the league at 157.8 yards per
That's
game.
insane.
That
Well, can we talk?
is
They have the best running tandem in the NFL. Your
Sure.
running
Yeah.
backs are Nick Chubb, who I think if he was the starter, he's probably would be one of the top 2 running backs in the league. Like seeing
Mhm.
that guy run, he is a monster. The only reason he isn't is one, he was injured and he splits carries with Kareem freaking Hunt, who that's their other running back. They can both get you 100 yards a game. in
Yeah.
the same
He's
game.
had a good comeback this year,
He
Kareem.
has.
Mhm.
Oh man.
He really has. I didn't think he'd come back this strong and hopping in with the Browns. I was kind of like, I thought it was a little questionable, but he has been just the perfect 1-2 punch with him and Chubb
Mhm.
Oh,
every game.
their run game's filthy.
That's like the dream team for a tandem running back game. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
they're-
So you keep going.
Well, so
Tyler.
on
You
the
keep
other
going.
side of their game, which would be the passing game, they're 27th in the league in passing yards at 206.5 yards per game. So
this bottom of the barrel.
that brings me back to the question: can a run offense take you deep into the playoffs? Can it do that for the Browns?
Oh man, that's so tough in today's league.
It is.
That tends to be pass happy because you
Because
want to think it can.
how did the playoffs work for the Baltimore Ravens, who were a heavy run team last year?
Yeah.
I know.
How did that work for them? But they also didn't have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on their team. So,
And I think Baker Mayfield throws the ball better than Lamar Jackson.
oh,
I
absolutely.
think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Baker,
So-
he looked really good on this past weekend. But statistically, their defense is incredibly average.
It's very average.
They're an
It is.
But they
average
did just
defense
get
team.
Miles Garrett back. Miles Garrett just played his first game back in a while
Good
this
point.
past game, which I think that helps them out tremendously when it comes to they need that pressure on other quarterbacks because the rest of their defense is so average.
Mhm.
They need Miles Garrett getting in the quarterback space to at least make him a little uncomfortable, or
Yeah.
quarterbacks just pick them apart.
Mhm.
Well, that's what confounds me about this team is so when I saw they're 9-3, I was like, all right, so like it must be obviously we know Baker Mayfield hasn't been passing much. So I was like, I know they have a great run game. So it must be run game and defense that's doing it. And the run game's there. But then I look at their defense and like Tyler said, it's average. They gave up 26.8 points a game, which is 22nd in the league. And they give up 361.2 yards a game, which is 19th.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so they don't have a great defense, but they have a good running game. So I'm like, how? But then I looked at the turnover ratio, and they're tied for 4th in the league at a +7, and they have 20 takeaways, which is 3rd best in the league. So they would give up points, but they're taking the ball away. And this is what's huge for Baker is he's not turning the ball over.
Mhm.
He had 22 interceptions last year. He only has 7 so far this year.
He had
I think
how
that
many
is gonna
last year?
He had 22 interceptions last year.
He had a head coach that didn't know what he was doing last year.
I was gonna say, how much of this is Kevin Stefanski? Like,
That's true.
has he just figured out the perfect mixture of pound the ball? We have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and we're gonna use Baker as limited as possible.
Mhm.
Or play to Baker's strengths and protect him.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Right.
I think in a game like this, he got hot and they saw something, and like this past Sunday, they're like, "All right, wing it."
Yeah.
And he did. I mean, he was phenomenal. But I think you're right, Brandon. I think the coach figured something out. They're like, we have to pair him with 2 stud running backs, let them control the game, and then and I will say Mayfield has been good this year at managing a game. I know that's got negative connotations sometimes, but he's been good. He is not turning the ball over. He's efficient. He gets them the throws here and there that they need. He gets you like 150 yards, 60 yards a game, just enough to move the ball. That's what we're asking for from Cam, if he could do that. I don't know. So I think Mayfield's fit. He's found his role, and he's just playing very efficiently, even without putting up ridiculous numbers. And I think that's helped him. So, do you think it's enough, though?
Yeah, exactly. I personally, I don't think it's enough to get them to. We all know the Chiefs are going to be in the AFC Championship game. I think that's a given. Do I think that they're going to be playing the Browns? Probably not. I don't think that they're the way that the Browns are playing. By the way, that would be the most 2020 thing ever, is if it was Chiefs versus Browns.
Yes.
But I don't think it's enough to get them deep into the playoffs. But like we've said before, the Browns even making it to the playoffs is a win. That's a
absolutely.
huge win. Would I love this incredible underdog story of the Browns coming in and just overachieving in the playoffs and beating the Chiefs and making it to the Super Bowl and all this stuff that you would never think could ever happen, that would be the greatest story maybe not in football history, but in recent history for football. And it
It'd
would
be
be
pretty
amazing.
close to football history.
Yeah,
It'd be like
that would be insane.
if the Browns won one postseason game, there would be riots in the streets of Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
100%.
They'd be
And I think
even if that's
deserved.
deserved. Exactly, it is.
Yeah.
That's 100% deserved. But do I think it's enough the way they're playing right now? Honestly, if I'm being a realist, probably not. What do you guys think?
I don't know. You're not overtaking the Chiefs with that. You're not. I do. 2 weeks ago, I think, I made my stance that I do think the Browns are a team that can get into the playoffs and win a game. I do. I think they could win the wild card round in advance. I don't think they're going beyond that, but I at least give them that. I've seen enough from them to be like, no, they can. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win a game. So I stand by my take, but I don't think they'll go further than that. That's my piece on them.
Yeah.
Shoot. I just lost my train of thought. Dang it. Somebody else talk.
Brandon?
Yeah, I see one game. I see one game too. I can't see them winning more than one playoff game. And I don't know about you guys, but at this point, there is no way OBJ comes back to this team. I don't see it.
Really? You don't think so?
I think he's gone. What do they?
They've played better, honestly, since he's been hurt.
They've played because Baker Mayfield now does not have to feel like he has to coddle OBJ every game and get him six touches.
True.
Yeah.
OBJ now feels the confidence, or Baker feels the confidence to say, "All right, I got my guy Jarvis. I can hit him when I'm in trouble.
Yep.
But other than that, we're gonna run the ball, and I have no pressure on me to get it to." When he's healthy, one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. He still is.
Yeah.
And so I think OBJ wants out. I really do. And I think this is the Browns' perfect opportunity to say, well, honestly, we played better without him. Let's make it easy for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and we can get something for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
sure.
That's the beauty of football, and that's what I was going to say before I lost my train of thought. Like, the beauty of football, unlike some other sports, is that, the Browns might have no chance, but that doesn't mean they don't have a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like,
right.
on paper or statistically, or just you look at around the league. But I mean, what if somebody knocks out the Chiefs in some crazy upset, and then it's like Browns Steelers at home, like something like that, like something crazy. I don't think that would happen either, but like, just football is one of those cool sports where you could take the star out, get better, and then something weird would happen, something no one would ever expect would happen, and then before you know it, the most 2020 thing ever, you got like Giants Browns in the Super Bowl, and you're like,
right,
well, we got to root for the Browns now. Like, how could we not?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking the Browns all day.
And I think that's the beauty of one game in the playoffs.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, 100%.
It progresses the game. It's a shorter season. Not that I don't love series. I love a good, 7-game series in baseball, hockey, and basketball. But the one game really makes football. It's so
do or
important.
die, man.
It is.
NFL playoffs are the best.
It's because it's so important. Everything hangs on that one game in the playoffs.
That part I do agree.
And let me plug soccer here a little bit for you guys. Okay, listen.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Soccer has that vibe too, and I know it's not nearly as big here in the United States as it is in other parts of the world. But man, soccer's got those vibes. There is something special about, okay, we've made it this far, and if we lose, like, it's over. Like, we just go back.
Sure.
There's something that's why the NFL will always dominate ratings. It just overshadows anything else that's going on. The playoffs do every single year, because everybody knows it's winner take all, and I love that.
You can miss like the first game of a baseball series if you're, if it's not really your team or whatever, and they lost, okay, well, maybe they'll come back the next game, kind of thing. In football, you miss the game, you missed why the team's not moving on. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
no, that's a great point.
All right. Well, I think that's enough NFL talk for today. Let's transition to the NBA really quick, because we had some big news come out this week, and it wasn't the start of the season coming up in a couple weeks, but it's the fact that for this season, for the first time in a long time, NBA players will not be tested for marijuana for the Mary Jane this season. Which many players rejoiced when they heard that. And I know the NFL players are like, "When are we next?" Especially Josh Gordon. But my
Josh
question for
Gordon.
you is this good or is this bad for the league? And the reason I ask is because the NBA is marketed heavily to the younger generation. They've really made that push in the past 10 years or so to market it to the younger kids and everything. So now that they're not testing for weed, we all know that the players smoke. Remember that one year the Cavs are in the finals and a reporter went in there and he's like, he opened it up and it was just foggy and hazy because everyone was lighting up.
I never heard about that. That's brilliant.
We know it happens, but now that this has been lifted, is this good or is this bad for the league? What do you guys think?
This
Tyler?
is good. This is a very good step in the right direction for professional sports. My takeaway from it is let them smoke. Now, if you want to put restrictions on players on whether or not they can post on their social medias of them, if LeBron, I don't know if LeBron smokes or not, but for any of
His son does.
Sure, yes, he
As we
definitely
found
does,
out.
and that's a perfect point. Because he posts on his Instagram story, a video of him smoking a blunt. And should the teams be able to, or the league be able to suspend players for posting on their Instagram story of them smoking pot? I think that that's okay, and I think that that's fair, and I think that that is completely in the right of the NBA, because, like you said, they're trying to market to the younger generation, and do you want 13, 14, even as young as 11-year-olds being influenced by people smoking marijuana? Probably not, because that is something that is specifically in my mind for people 18 and older. But I think it's a great step in the right directions. If a player wants to do what they want, especially when it's legal in a lot of the states here, let them do what they want. If they think that it's not going to affect their performance, then let them do what they want. I think it's an amazing step in the right direction for the rights of the players. I'll say that.
Okay. Eric, what are you thinking on this?
So you touched on my libertarian roots like last week. So first of all, I am the most boring person on the planet. I've never touched weed. I have no desire to touch weed. I've never even been intoxicated. Like, I've just boring person as far as that goes. But truthfully, I just don't care. Like, I just don't care. I would agree to the point, like, I don't care if you light up, or I just don't care. And the libertarian to be like the guy that just, like, if you want to do that, my first job was McDonald's, and to take it for what it was, but the amount of people that came through stoned, and they were always entertaining, especially for a 20-day, great day to work the late shift at McDonald's. But if you want to smoke pot and come through the drive-through and giggle with your friends, like, I just don't care. So if you want to smoke pot and then get on the basketball court and it helps you or it does whatever, whatever, I don't care. I will say, to Tyler's point, the influence that these stars have on a younger generation, um, especially young kids that might be influenced, and how that might adversely affect how they, brain development, or which I don't really know all the stats about marijuana, how that relates, but you get what I mean, like the influence they have on younger
Yeah.
generation, especially younger kids.
Right.
I would agree to Tyler's point that if the league is just going to look the other way, then the players need to not make it so blatantly obvious,
Right.
and be, in your face about it. Like, if the league's just going to say we're not going to test you, that doesn't warrant you to be able to post all over your social media smoking a fatty with your friends.
Right. I
Right.
completely agree with that.
Brandon, you're a youth director now.
I'm curious about this one, actually.
To hear your take on all this.
Yeah, I think both Tyler and Eric have touched on the big point, which is like all this does is I hope it reminds athletes of the influence that they have on the younger generation. And the amount of students that I interact with that things that athletes say, things that athletes do, the way that they dress, the way that they interact, all of those things are influencing these teenagers. And so with that, I mean, there should be a great responsibility. And like Tyler said, if they're in states where it's legal, it's fine. Like, it's the same as drinking at the end of the day.
Right.
If it's legal, then who is a league to say that you can't do it? Now, I think athletes will have to figure out, like, is this having negative effects on my body? For a guy like LeBron James that spends, and like we said, I don't know if LeBron smokes weed, but for a dude that spends $1 million+ on his body, he's probably not going to touch it. For an athlete that like wants to make sure they are in peak physical. Now, who's the big winner yesterday? Or when this got announced, it's J.R. Smith.
Yes.
He is the
He
biggest
high all the time.
with this. But yeah, and honestly, I'm with Eric. Like, honestly, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I think if we start to see the trickle down effect with younger generations, okay. Now we got to look at it again, because now it's a bigger deal. It's not just, we don't want to restrict you guys and it's legal, we want you to be able to, it's we got to think about these upcoming players and the influence that you guys have in their life, and we got to make sure we're doing what's best for them.
Yeah.
So,
and I honestly can't imagine a lot of NBA players like ritually smoking weed.
No,
because if you have, it's basketball. It's a lot of cardio, running up and down the court a lot. Whether or not, if you've read studies on the medical effects, whatever you believe, if you're smoking, that's obviously affecting your lungs. It's not tar, it's not like cigarettes or anything, but it's smoke going into your lungs. There's no way around saying, no, it doesn't affect your lung at all. Maybe it doesn't affect them in a negative way of, you're not going to get cancer from it. But
it's not
you're going to
be
there's exactly, and there's something that's smoke that's going in there. So maybe the NBA players like edibles or something. Whatever they like. But I can't see these people running up and down the court and then going in the locker room and smoking a fat blunt. It doesn't make any sense to me. But go ahead, Aaron. What do you think?
So I fall really in line with what a lot of you guys have said. I'm like Eric. I've never smoked weed, have ever experienced it or anything. Don't ever plan to. But so that's probably good since I'm a pastor. But but I don't know.
Let me state for the record, I haven't either.
The guy with the ministry podcast, he does not smoke weed regularly. Good thing we clarified. But and if it's legalized in most states right now, I don't see why the NBA would have that restriction. Because Brandon, you brought up the good point about the alcohol. Alcohol also influences health and influences how we think and stuff like that. But the NBA doesn't have a stance on that. I do think individual teams, just like with the regular workplace, like if you show up drunk, there's an issue.
Yeah.
And you address it. And same thing with weed. If you show up to practice or to a game high, then disciplinary action should absolutely take place in that. But on your own recreational time, I don't think the NBA has a right to intrude. Now, again, do I smoke weed myself? No. But if it's illegal, all right, it's within people's right to make their decision. Anything where the government or an institution can infringe on that, I'm always a little bit like, ugh, like that's your own personal life. I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I like to see that happening.
To that point, though, like an organization does have the right to say, like I work for a company that requires me to drive a vehicle, and if at any point I get into a vehicular accident, then I have to immediately go for a drug screening. And if I would never come out positive because I've never smoked the stuff.
Right.
But if anybody wherever, they are immediately terminated. So
right.
like a company does, and if you call the NBA a company, they do have the right to say, as my employee, you cannot do these things. And you can do them if you want, but if you get caught doing them, you will face the punishment. So, to that sense,
Eric,
they do have a right to do that.
That's why I mentioned before, like if they do show up, like if they showed up drunk or they showed up high to a practice, it's like, well, then yes, that's where disciplinary action When
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
fair.
okay, like that now you're affecting our performance here, and that's affecting our team, I think. But it's like if it's like an off season, like who the freak cares? Or if they have like a bye, like in the NFL, if this passes, they have a bye week or whatever. As far as like the kids thing, if it influencing the kids, that is kind of the biggest kind of question mark. But let's be honest, they're listening to rap artists and stuff like that who are talking about way worse things.
Yeah.
It's not like we can't pretend that our kids are in a bubble and they're not ever hearing about weed outside of the NBA. So I think we could pump our brakes on that. But I don't know. That's where I fall on it. Now, before we wrap this up and go to the NHL, because this is something close and near and dear to my heart. Do we think this inches us closer to letting athletes juice like crazy?
Let them juice. I do. That's my favorite take of any take of all time.
Let them
Let them juice.
Everything get freakishly huge. Oh, I'm all for it.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
That's really funny.
Brandon, are you for them juicing?
Yeah, I mean, I say get as big as you want, and then show me what you got. Like, I'd
absolutely.
love to see
I'm paying
a
for that.
320-pound just yoked dude on ice skates, just laying people out.
That's
yeah, it's like a character you built in like 2K or something. Like, you shouldn't even be humans shouldn't look this big. I'm all for it.
Aaron,
Dude,
to your
that's
point, you
amazing.
could argue that during or was it the late '90s, the Mark McGuire and was it Sosa that they were trying?
Sammy
Yeah.
Sosa.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they were.
That was the only time I paid attention to baseball.
So they
It
were
was
after that
fun.
that home run thing, right? But
Yeah.
to
It was a
compensate
single
for
season
that,
record.
yeah, that's what it was. But to compensate for that, you had pitchers like Pedro who like had to learn how to pitch to a guy that was juicing, and Pedro and Roger Clemens and Mario Rivera and Kurt Schilling, like they were baller pitchers, and they knew how to pitch.
Yeah.
Like Pedro could pitch to a guy that was juicing and still strike him out.
Oh yeah.
And it made the game better. I'm all
Yeah.
for
It
it.
did.
Yeah.
And if he hit a
It's
home
more
run, you knew that
exciting.
Pedro was going to hit him the next time he got
Well,
up, or
Oh,
like
dude.
whatever.
Well, the better
Classic
athletes you
Pedro. I
have,
love it.
the more the fans are going to be happy. They're going to buy more tickets. More money is going to come in. The leagues are going to make more money. It's going to make the production even better. Everyone wins, except for the athletes when they're like 50 and they die. But they need the risks.
That's a really good point. Imagine if every team had a guy like Barry Bonds, massive dude that hit 540-foot home runs just about every other game. You think that you're going to sell out that stadium every game? Probably.
Every game.
And let's be honest, in our military, you cannot tell me that they are not giving the soldiers some stuff here and there, especially their special forces, because I know that happens.
All right.
So it's like if they're doing that, anyways, we don't have
Government's
to get
going to
into all
come and
that.
shut us down, so let's not go into that.
Where did we just go?
I don't know. It just got really dark.
Okay.
The door's behind Aaron, and there's like Navy SEALs breaking in as we speak.
Yeah.
Eric, what do we think about the NHL?
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of touch on the NHL. And let me say this, like I'm relatively new to the sport. So I grew up, like I've said, I'm a big baseball, football first, baseball second, and then because I'm from hillbilly Western Mass, we watch NASCAR too. So like that was just a thing in my family. So like it is what it is. But like, I was never really an NHL guy, and I've just kind of gotten into them recently over the past couple of years with the Bruins being good. And I've kind of realized just how intricate, I've said this before, like how intricate the sport is. And like someone who's big in the NHL might not think this, but just from like my brain and how like I like sports that are physical, but also intricate. And NHL is like that perfect balance of that. Cause like you got to dump the puck in and then you're basically putting it on the boards and running into somebody at full speed, hoping that you don't like knock yourself out in an attempt to knock them out to get the puck. But there's also that whole thing with like icing the puck and offsides where the puck has to go in before a player. So there's like this whole intricate level to that I didn't realize. And I really like that. I think soccer is similar, actually, kind of like it's physical, but it's also there's some intricate, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, there's some intricate like rules to that with how the players have to enter zones and stuff like that. And that makes it really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's a good way to work soccer into it. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. There's definitely similarities. There's offsides. I think soccer gets a bad rep, but it is way more physical than people realize. And it can be brutal. And I mean, you got athletes running for 5 to 6 miles over the course of 90 minutes,
right,
and beating on each other. And I mean, hockey players. it's a ridiculous. I don't know the exact amount, but it is a ridiculous amount the distance that these guys skate in
I
the
didn't
three
realize it was
periods
that
that they
long.
play.
Is it really 5 to 6 miles?
Oh, for the average soccer player?
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Holy
That's
crap.
crazy.
I know
Yeah,
basketball, it's only
that's a
like
lot.
maybe you may hit 2 in a game.
No,
Granted, it's
average
only
soccer
48
player.
minutes, but
A soccer field's big. I will give you that. They're big fields.
Well, and
Um,
they're not jogging either.
No,
Like they're not
it's
like
on and
slow
off.
jog. Like
yeah, it's
sometimes they
sprint,
might be,
sprint, sprint,
but
sprint,
they're running.
Yeah.
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 I have a question on the NHL.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
up?
Stupid. What the freak is icing?
Icing,
I've seen that, and I'm like, I don't know what is going on.
if in layman's terms, it's a player shooting, not shooting, but passing the puck or making the puck go all the way to the other side on the red line.
Yeah.
So
it's
if
a
there's
defensive
lines,
player.
you have a center line in the center, and then it would be 2 blue lines,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
would be that, and then you have 2 red lines at the ends where the goal, the red line is where the goal sits, right at the
Oh,
post.
so if they shoot the puck and it goes beyond there on the other side, that's
Right.
icing.
If you're past your blue line, and you shoot past the
Okay.
red line on the other side, that's icing.
Yeah.
So then the puck gets
unless
called
it's a penalty
back.
kill.
Right. Penalty.
Okay.
If you're on a if your team has a penalty, and you shoot the puck, that's not icing, because if you shoot the puck past the red line, which would be icing if you had 5-on-5, but when it's 4-on-5, 3-on-5, that's not
They
icing.
allow it.
It's that's allowed. It's called penalty kill. You're trying
Yeah.
to waste time, basically.
Gotcha.
That's what makes it intricate too, because like when an offensive team is in the offensive zone and they're really working you, sometimes you take that icing intentionally
Yeah.
just to reset everything.
It's like taking a
Because the
timeout in
icing-
basketball.
Yeah, you take, or even taking a foul in basketball, you
Mhm.
just take the penalty because it resets your team and gives you a breath. You can't substitute, I don't think, if you ice the puck, but at least gives you a chance to catch your breath and reset and kind of kill that momentum.
Yeah, it's
Ah,
a momentum killer.
For sure.
If you do it on purpose, at least.
Yeah. But I just wanted to touch on this because the NHL is starting soon. There's been some news that's come out about that. So obviously the NHL was in a bubble for their playoffs, and I really think they did it the best. Like I think basketball did it really well too. But the NHL, just the product that they had, it was as close to what a normal NHL game was. It not just from like a player perspective, but like the camera angles in the NHL. They generally you don't see fans like you would in like a basketball game where you would see more fans. NHL, the
Right.
camera angles are, so not seeing fans in the stands really didn't make a difference in, home ice, away ice isn't as big in hockey. It still is, like it is in anything, but it's not as big. So I think they did it well. And so I think there's been a lot of speculation going into this season, because the NHL, just like when they did their bubble, they haven't really announced much until recently. And,
Right.
we get to like a month away and you're like, what is the NHL doing? So they had a couple things they needed to work out. And really the biggest challenge with the NHL has been that it's unique in that most of its players come from different countries, and those
Mhm.
countries on average are more restrictive than some parts of the United States. So like, players that play for the Tampa Bay Lightning who won the Stanley Cup last year might be coming from Europe or from Canada,
Right.
which have way more restrictive policies when it comes to COVID-19. And then also when they fly in, there's also restrictions from those countries to America, and the whole 14-day quarantine thing from a different country. And then on top of that, unlike other sports by and large, obviously you have Toronto, which has the Raptors and the Blue Jays, but a lot of NHL teams are also in Canada, and so that whole crossing international borders during COVID has really created some challenges, because Canada's been by and large more restrictive than the United States
Yeah.
in that. So I think they're shooting to start. I believe their opening night's going to be January 13th. And they're going to play, I believe, 56 games. I believe it is. Let
What do
me
they
look that up real
normally
quick.
do they normally do like 62 or something?
56 games. Go
62
ahead.
sounds right.
Is it? I
60
think it's
somewhere-
62.
Somewhere around there. It's not a shortened season by a lot.
Yeah, it's not much at all.
Yeah. So just really from like a podcast perspective and doing this, I want to talk about the NHL, because just the conversation we just had about learning about icing, like it's a cool sport and there's some
Mhm.
really cool things that happen, and it's really physical. And there are, fans of hockey are like, they're into it.
Yeah.
they're
Like they're
diehard.
like
Yeah.
every fan base in hockey is like the Browns, where they take their shirts off and write Browns all over themselves and like are just crazy about their team. Like that's
Yeah,
every
you wouldn't
fan
leave them
base in
alone
hockey.
with like children because they'd be irresponsible. That's what exactly what
Yeah.
100%. So I'm excited for the NHL to start, and I just wanted to talk about that and like get us kind of geeked up because it's a cool sport, and I think it's something worth paying attention to, especially coming this next year. And football's going to end in February, and we're going to be by and large basketball and
I'm gonna have to
NHL.
learn a new sport, guys. I gotta learn about hockey. Gotta brush up on it.
There you go. Nice challenge. There you go.
Wayne Gretzky. That's what I'll add in every segment.
Well, here's the things you need to know this year is that the Tampa Bay Lightning won last year. They're by and large a very good team, and they won in the postseason without their star for most of the postseason. I believe Stamkos, who's their star, came in into the finals,
Mhm.
so that was big for them. And that happened because of COVID. That he wasn't supposed to play at all in the postseason, and because of COVID, he had more time to recover. And they play in the same division, or the same, I think that's what they call division
Right.
in hockey, as the Bruins, who are very good. But going back to our Aaron Rodgers conversation, they're a very good team, but they
Yeah.
have underperformed in the playoffs quite a bit.
It
Like,
blows my
they've had a couple
mind.
chances.
Their core five, the fact that they have their core five and Tuukka Rask, who is widely accepted as a really good goalie. The fact that they have their core five and haven't won a Stanley Cup. The fact that they lost to the St. Louis Blues last year.
That one.
I mean, come on.
Ugh.
How do you because this past year, the 2020, Tuukka Rask was like, you know what? I want to go home with my family. I'm out of here.
Yeah, he literally just went peace
and
out.
Boston was like, you know what, dude? Let's go find this guy's house and burn it down. But their backup.
No, but seriously, they were
backup,
tracking him down at the golf course.
Nobody likes him anymore. But their backup goalie, I forget his name. He's not Halak. Yeah, thank you. He's not a terrible goalie, but he's not a starter. But the fact that they have Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak, and Zdeno Chara on their team, and it blows my mind.
Chara isn't confirmed this year, but there's a lot of speculation about that. But they do believe I think he's going to play for them. That's my take.
I hope he does because I love that guy a lot. But
last year in the finals, he played with his jaw sewed shut.
Yep, he did.
Like what?
He's a
Maybe another player in any sport that would do that. Let's sew my jaw shut. I'm getting out there and playing.
Nope.
Especially in hockey when you get put up against the boards 5 times
Seriously.
a game. So it just blows my mind that they haven't won. And the team hasn't. The last time they won was 2011. And you had this amazing story of freak. What's his name?
Long?
Tim.
Oh, that goalie.
The goalie. I feel stupid for forgetting it. No, it's not.
Oh.
But
no, it's not. You're right.
So,
Tim Thomas.
Tim Thomas, thank you.
That's it.
We have this story.
Did you say Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons is wait a minute. That's the
coffee shop.
Is that the coffee shop in Canada, right?
Yeah, that's the
okay.
Anyways,
Northern Maine. I knew that one. I was like Tim Hortons. I know.
And there is Eric's gaff for the week.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh no, I'll read back and find. I'll listen back and find.
It's not as bad as my gaff, which everybody won't hear. But anyways, so we have. The team that they have, it blows my mind that they haven't won because they've always, they've been a force in the Atlantic Conference. Thank you. I think, right? Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, we'll go with that.
Atlantic Conference. They have been a force, but you've had the Tampa Bay Lightning, who has been a great team for the past probably 4 or 5 years, who's always been that team to beat. But it still blows my mind that we lost to the Blues. I have no idea how that happened. It made me very upset. But
it was up there for me with the 2007 Patriots.
There's no way they should have lost to the St. Louis Blues. There's no way that should have happened, but it did. If Tuukka comes back this year, the Bruins are the team, in my opinion, in the Atlantic Division, the team to beat. Even if the Tampa Bay Lightning are coming off a Stanley Cup win, the Bruins are the team to beat because of the talent that they have.
So Tyler, just one more time to clarify, Did it blow your mind that they lost to the Blues last year in the playoffs?
Yes.
All right. Well, guys, looking at the time, this is it.
Yeah.
We already have to wrap things up. Another good episode. Good talks. Good. We had some arguments and debates, which I like to see.
I think
liked
it's
it.
fair to say debate. I don't think we really argued. I couldn't
no,
argue with you, Aaron. I
In
love you too
in
much.
our group chat, we
Oh.
definitely argue.
No, it's because over text you can't sense emotion.
It's very
I
true.
said something in all caps. I don't normally do
Oh, you
that.
did. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. Just let you guys know where you can find us, which you're listening now, so you probably figured it out. But just a reminder, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, we also are on YouTube where you can see our video. Please follow us on our Instagram, which is the Under 500 Podcast. You can just search us there and you'll find us. And please, as we did earlier in this episode, you can send in emails to us about what maybe some things you want to hear. Maybe you don't like what we had to say. Let us know. We don't care if you don't like what we say, but we would like to hear it just to get some feedback.
Don't let them lie to you. We care.
We care.
Yeah,
We
we
care.
stay up at night. But you can email us at under500podcast@gmail.com or just send us a direct message on our Instagram. That counts as well. And before we head out, again, Brandon, where can we find your podcast?
Yeah, you can find If You Build It, They Might Come on Spotify, Apple, and SoundCloud. Check me out.
Awesome.
So
really
check
appreciate
out
you being
Brandon's
on here, man.
podcast. Yep. Nah, man. Thanks, Brandon, for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We gotta have you back.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on
Yeah.
at another point.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This is a blast. I'm
Good.
still salty about Aaron Rodgers a little bit, but it's all right. It's all right.
All right. Well, on that, we bid you listeners adieu, and we look forward to having you again next week at the Under 500 podcast. See you guys.